got done reviewing our choices for the Batman the Telltale series, and now we're going to be going over The Enemy Within. So, starting off with our very first episode of The Enemy, we have The Enigma. One of Gotham's oldest and deadliest criminals has returned. Batman must work with allies, old and new, to stop this growing threat. And in the first game, we have three big enemies. We have Harvey Dent, who turns into Two-Face. We have Oswald Copperpot, who turns into the Penguin. And we have Vicky Vale, who was really Lady Arkham. And these three infamous villains from the first game, they really made things get crazy and very stinky, I should say. Things were getting really intense, and they made the world basically burn. But that wasn't over. That was just the beginning, as Penguin put it. And so now we're in the second game, and the Riddler has made an appearance. And he not going to be so gentle. So let's go ahead and take a look at all of our choices for all of these wonderful episodes. By the way, if you have not listened into the beginning, and if you want to play this game, I advise you to not watch this video, because these are filled with major spoilers. But if you'd like to copy what I did, then please stand by and look at my choices and hear my thoughts about them. And if you want to do something different, maybe you want to copy me, it's totally up to you. However you want to do this, I'm just going to give you a review of my playthrough. Alright, as the very first decision of The Enigma, the very first episode of The Enemy Within, we are left with not only choices but also relationships, which really make the game way more interesting, honestly, in my opinion. So, at the bat, you can see that we got John Doe, aka the Joker here. He was previously in the Telltale series, but we really didn't see much from him. We only seen him a little bit in episode 4 at Arkham Asylum, and that was about it. And we later find out that he broke out and definitely made an appearance with us. And honestly, I actually liked it a lot. I actually wanted to see him, and I'm kind of glad he made a return. So, kind of glad he made a reappearance. So, you and 41.4% of players helped John become hopeful. At the funeral, he was pleased to see you. He was proud of himself that you chose a card you liked. Even though you didn't agree to meet his friends, he was hopeful that you'll come around. So, again, I was still kind of hesitant on what he really wanted. I didn't know what kind of Joker they were making here. I didn't know if he was going to be like this crazy, like, bonkers Joker, who, like, very cartoony, or was he just going to make him, like, all very like kind of shy and, you know, kind of like, you know, slightly autistic or something. I was like, I didn't know how they're gonna make John, so I was like, let me just do a little bit, you know, like, let me be optimistic but also safe at the same time. You know, I was trying to play my cards right. I didn't want to be too mean but also not too nice either, so I was just being a little neutral on my part. Alright, so we left. See, you and 55.6% of players left Iman traumatized. She was impressed that you stood up to Waller. She was sorry she angered you while asking questions. She was traumatized by the torture she endured at the hands of the Riddler. Now, we had to make a choice at the very end of this episode. What do we do? Do we basically not stop the Riddler, and he basically kills the lives of those agents locked up, or do we use Iman as bait so I can capture the Riddler and save the other ones? I made a difficult choice to sacrifice a life for 3 different lives. And this would kind of hurt the reputation of Batman later on, because this is basically the greater good dilemma all over again. The greater good happens in Gotham more than you like it, actually. It happens often. The greater good decision, what do? You do the big decision, or you do the small decision. What's better for the greater good, yada 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 yada. And majority, well, it was like a 50-50, but mainly the majority agreed with me on basically sacrificing her for the other agents. Let's see, you and 77.9% of players left Tiffany furious. She was through when he told her she could help with the puzzle box. At the funeral, she was not consoled when he said Lucius was in a better place because he told her the truth about endangering Lucius. She now feels betrayed. Now, I know it was like too soon, I understand that, but I wanted to be honest with her. Lucius Fox died at the hands of the Riddler, one of his contraptions, and it was a bomb. And he tried to solve it. Once he solved it, he realized what it was, and he died. He didn't get to live to see the day. So, I do feel bad. I really do. It was not something that I wanted to happen, and it made me very sad when I found out that he died. And when I seen it his daughter at the funeral. By the way, this is Tiffany Fox. When I seen her, I was sad. I was like, oh, you know, like I felt horrible because he spent his entire life raising me. Well, he didn't really raise me, but he definitely got me all the gear for Batman. He worked with me with all of his life as well. My life and his life were synonymous, and kind of like how Alfred's is as well. And this is a man that meant everything to me. And I was like, you know what? This is his daughter. And because of that, I want to be completely honest with her and never, ever lie. This is someone I do not want to manipulate, ever. There was many characters in the series I did try to manipulate, but she was not somebody I wanted to. To me, since he was not here anymore, I wanted her to be family, kind of. But I know things are too soon. I had a chance to tell her the truth about my involvement on his death, because basically, if the Batman didn't exist, Lucius would have never died. That's just the honest truth. And yeah, I do feel bad, and maybe it was too soon, but I had to tell her. And luckily for me, I had another chance to later on, but, you know, maybe it was a little too soon. Most people agreed with it, well, the majority. Let's see here. You and 38.1% of players forged a relationship with Waller that was collaborative. She was not happy when you defended Gordon. She did not approve of your merciful interrogation of Eli, but because you decided to go to her instead of Gordon, she was looking forward to working with you. Now, I wanted to interrogate Eli, but I only did it because I believed interrogating Eli was a smart decision. If Bruce Wayne was seen talking to Mori, that was not going to look good on my name. Anyway, I already spent a whole game worth trying to clear my name, and to see myself talking to Mori, an arms dealer, a crooked arms dealer, if I was to be seen talking to someone like that, Bruce Wayne's name would just die. Nobody would believe anything I would say anymore. So I was like, you know what? I have to work with Waller at this point, because if I don't, you know, people are not going to trust Bruce Wayne anymore. And I wanted to trust me. I wanted to work with Commissioner Gordon, and I think I pressed the wrong button somewhere, and I ended up working with Waller. I never wanted to work with Amanda Waller. I never liked her. I never wanted to work with her, but we had to work with her. We had to. It was kind of one of those forced relationships. But maybe if I did something different, maybe the agency wouldn't have been too involved, but I honestly don't know. You and 68.7% of players saw Alfred become vengeful. He was proud when you thought of Gotham before yourself. Showing him the video of Lucius being killed filled him with vengeance. He did not approve of your merciful interrogation of Eli. I, again, did not want Batman to be seen as brutal. But basically, there was a lesson you learned from this. You can't please everybody. You can please a group, like, okay, he was merciful to a criminal, but you can't please the other group of that saying, why weren't you why were you merciful? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's always a group of people that you cannot please, and that game has taught me that very clearly. No matter what you do, someone's going to be mad at you, regardless. So you might as well just do the decision that you want to do the most. So next time, if I do this run through again, I'm going to go to Mori and see what happens. So you and 22.3% of players left Gordon feeling betrayed. Now, I have no idea why Commissioner Gordon was being very difficult with me in Enemy Within. He was putting up a fight with me. Why? I was trying to work with him, but he did not. It's not that he didn't want to work with me. He just he lost trust in me. He did not trust me. He did not trust Bruce Wayne, and he did not trust Batman very well. His judgment was kind of poor in this game for some reason. I have no idea. He was slipping up. But I ain't gonna lie. When just judging off the last game, seeing how Harvey Dent transformed into Two-Face, how being the role of the mayor, what that does to you, Commissioner Gordon's kind of up there. He's not the mayor, but he's the leader of the police force. And what that does to you, that gets to you. And I could see how Commissioner Gordon might be having a lot of stress. So he appreciated you backing him up in front of Waller. He was suspicious that you refused to talk about Lucius. He feels betrayed because you went behind his back. I didn't want to go behind his back. It just had to be that way. If I went to Mori, I would have gotten a lot of trouble by the press. I did not want that. He was suspicious that he refused to talk about Lucius. I didn't want him to think that it was me, you know, wanting to, like, intentionally kill him. But next time if I do this run, I'll fix that. I regret doing that decision as well. And we have a choice here. What did you tell Gordon about your connection to Lucius? You and 82% of players confessed to Gordon that Lucius was an ally. Ooh. Lucius Fox was somebody that was very close to me. He was someone who was working with me, and someone who was basically family to me. I had to tell him. I wanted Gordon in my family circle as well. I wanted Tiffany Fox in my circle, and I wanted Gordon to be in my circle as well. I wanted them close to me. And I was trying my best to be honest. 9.9% of players told Gordon you could not talk about Lucius. 1.6% of players were silent when Gordon asked you about Lucius. Now this one is highly sus. 1.6, that's kind of rare. That's a rare choice right there. But, and let's see, 6 players lied to Gordon about your connections to Lucius. As you can see, the majority agrees with me. And yeah, I would have. If I do this run through again, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna tell Gordon that he was an ally. Did you choose to visit Maury or Eli? You and 25.7% of players chose to interrogate Eli for information on the Riddler. Now, again, there was a reason I didn't want the press involved. If the press wasn't going to be a problem, I would have done Maury easily because I didn't want to talk to one of his goons. That's not what I want to do. I want to talk to the big fish, but obviously talking to the big fish, there's consequences to that, so you have to be careful on what you decide to do. I would definitely change up my decision here. I want to try Maury next time. How did you get the information from Eli? You and 79% of players buffed Eli with the signal. Now again, I had a choice to be aggressive, or I could have just give him a bluff and make him think the rocket's coming, but it wasn't going to do that because there was like some kind of like weird force field that was gonna block the missile if it did strike. Or I don't exactly know how the game described it to me, but the missile wasn't going to strike, and the goon didn't know that, and he freaked out, and he obviously told as much as he could before potentially dying, and it worked. It worked for sure. Let's see. Did you save Iman or the agents? You and 71.5% of players sacrificed Iman in order to save the other agents. This is the greater good dilemma. I was willing to sacrifice one life for 3 other lives. And was it smart? Yes, it worked, but it did damage Iman. It did leave her with hearing damage and a lot of trauma as well. So maybe I'll change it up next time. Episode 1 was kind of rocky for me. So let's see. You and 82% of players confessed to Gordon about him being an ally. 25%, 79%. And 71%. As you can see, we mainly chose the majority decisions here for episode 1, so not really anything too unique here. So let's go ahead and check out episode 2. Alright, so we have episode 2, The Pact. With his identity on the line, Bruce must work with a new power player in Gotham. A criminal conspiracy is growing in the shadows, threatening the entire city. Now this is what got me very interested. I seen what happened to Edward Enigma, the Riddler. I seen how at the end we had him. We were going to lock him up, but he was assassinated by an anonymous source. We would later find out that it was Tiffany who murdered the Riddler. That was the biggest plot twist ever. We never knew she had it in her to do that, but it made us realize where she's been kind of silent for like episode 2 and 3. She hasn't been around much. She's been around, but not that much, and that kind of makes me believe that she was up to no good, and she did kill the Riddler. That was the biggest plot twist ever. But when I seen the Pact, I was like, oh, just the looks of it, I could already tell that's going to be Bane, that's going to be Mr. Freeze, and that's going to be Harley Quinn. Everybody recognizes Harley's hammer. Everybody knows that. And I was like, oh man, this is going to be one good episode. So I was looking forward to it. So let me go ahead and show you my choices for this episode. Alright, at the very beginning of episode 2, we have you and 60.2% of players left John feeling happy. He was overjoyed when Pinky swore to never lie again. He was excited by the violent way Willie was handled. He is elated you chose to fight alongside Harley. Now, this is where we get into contact with John Doe, aka the Joker, and we try to make our way into the Pact by using our good friend John we met at Arkham Asylum, and he has great connections to the Pact. He's actually one of them. I don't know why he wanted to recruit us. I have no idea. I really don't know what made us so special, but he picked us and he was inviting us, and at first we were hesitant, but it looked like after seeing the Riddler's death, we had no other choice but to make our way inside the Pact as a undercover operative working for the agency. You and 18.3% of players left Tiffany freaked out. She was surprised when he told her about Lucius' work with Batman. She was outraged when he suggested she couldn't take care of herself. You may have helped her escape, but she couldn't trust your motivations. Now, after seeing her at Wayne Enterprises inside of the vault, I was not expecting her to be there, and it was kind of suspicious that she was, but I get it. She wants to understand more about her father and why he's gone, so she was probably fiddling around with the tech, you know, late at night, and she just got very unlucky. And seeing that Bruce Wayne and two clowns were basically going around her old father's office, and that did not go right with her, you know. And I'm sorry I kind of said that she couldn't handle herself, and I'm sorry I couldn't convince her. It was just kind of in the heat of the moment kind of thing. Man, I wish I could have, though. I do regret that, and I did not want her to feel freaked out. You and 60.2% of players left Harley feeling happy. She was annoyed that you made her apologize to Regina. She was aggravated when she failed to manipulate you in the lab. That is something she cannot do, even if she tried. But because you fought with her instead of Bane, she is thrilled. What can I say? I wanted to make sure that John was happy at all costs, and he told me by making him happy is by making Harley happy. So basically they were one. So I was like, okay, I could do that. I had a choice to help Bane, but I don't know how well that would have worked for John, because if I worked with Bane, then Bane would have took power and would have, you know, had this power surge, and I don't know, it would have made it complicated. So the best thing for me to do was work with Harley, and obviously a majority of people agree with me on this one as well. You and 99.8% of players left Waller feeling content. She was relieved when you said you don't think of her as an enemy. She disapproved of you calling Gordon instead of her to help you, but because you agreed to work with her while undercover, your relationship with Waller is positive. I did not want to work with her, and I meant to say I was suspicious of your organization, but I guess I told her that I was content with her or something, because no, I did not trust the agency. I did not trust their secret FBI, CIA lurking around Gotham. I did not trust that at all. I thought that was really suspicious, that nobody knows who these people are and they never get checked, and I thought that was not a good thing. That was bad. A secret organization with this many people walking around Gotham and not being told a damn thing, to me, that was bad. I never wanted to work with her, but I realized that Gordon was not going to make me do this, and the only way I could get to the Pact is by working with the agency. And basically almost all the players did the same thing. But damn, I wonder what would have happened if we didn't. I wonder what would have happened. Maybe next time I try this game, I might do the opposite to see what happens if you don't join the Pact. Because I wonder what happens. You and 43.4% of players left Alfred feeling content. He approved of your decision to be honest with Tiffany. He was proud when you told him he always does the right thing. Your conversation in the parlor gave him a real sense of purpose. Alfred is my boy. I never ever want to do wrong with him ever. He is my family, and I need sure I do everything right by him at all time. And I am glad I made him proud, because I was being honest. I never wanted to lie to Tiffany. I needed to me, I felt it was my obligation to tell her the truth, because I knew what happened to Lucius Fox. I knew, and it is partially my fault, and I wanted to be completely honest with her at all times. And Alfred is always proud of me, like always. You know, that's why I wanted to keep him close, because no matter what I do, he always stands by my side. And this is somebody I never want to see go, ever. You and 81% of players left Gordon feeling worried. You called him to help you despite being on bad terms with each other. He was happy you apologized for your recent behavior. Because you told him the truth, he is worried that Waller might expose your identity. Now, again, all I wanted was to be in a good relationship with Commissioner Gordon. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. I wanted to have good relations with GCPD to let them know I'm not their enemy. And I wanted their help. I did not want Amanda Waller crawling around trying to answer to me or make me answer to her. I did not want that. And trust me, when I was streaming this, I was telling my chat, I was like, look guys, I want the game to give me a chance to call Gordon, and I've been waiting for a long time until I seen the opportunity. Once I seen it, I went full throttle, and I was like, hey, yo, Gordon, I need some help, and I need you to help me, and I'll help you. Because I didn't even want to even talk to the agency. I didn't even want nothing to do with them. So, you know, any chance I could get to talk to Gordon, I would. And I made that statement loud and clear on episode 2. And I tried my best from here. Even though our relationship was rocky, and it does get a little rocky later, I tried my best to be on good terms with him. And to be honest with him. A new choice, did you get Tiffany to hand over the phalanx key? You and 49.9% of players didn't convince Tiffany that handing the phalanx key over to John was a good idea. Now this is a very split 50-50 chance here. You gotta realize that this is kind of in the moment. I don't exactly know how you can convince somebody who's, being held by, by the neck, basically threatening, if you say anything is bad, like, I don't know how you can convince somebody it's a good idea when I just stand around and not fight and defend. Obviously they're gonna get the bad idea, but it was a hard decision. I wish I could have convinced her, but it was already sketchy from the beginning. I don't know how you can trust a clown. Next decision, did you call Gordon a wall to the arsenal? You and 71.6% of players reached out to Gordon in their time of need. I needed Gordon, and I made sure that from here on out I speak to him and not Waller. Waller did get in my way multiple times though. I promise you. She tried to intervene and stop Gordon because I don't know. I have no idea what she wanted. I have no idea. She called him incompetent. She called him a bad leader, and to me, that's not cool. That's not cool at all. In fact, their agency is corrupt, so I don't know how she can say these things about Gordon when she is much worse. Trust me, worse than GCPD. GCPD has rats, but the agency is basically a whole sewer, so it's way worse. Trust me. And for the bar fight in the beginning, did you pay Willie off or let it get resolved with violence? You and 15.8% of players took Willie down when he drew a knife on John. 16% of players tried to resolve things peacefully with Willie when he drew a knife on John. 44.2% of players tried to calm Willie with a drink and when he drew a knife on them, and 23.9% of players took Willie down violently when he pulled a knife on them. Now, there was only a couple ways you can do it. I knew if he was to draw a knife. Oh, I'm sorry. When I'm reading this, they all sound the same. They all say knife, and I'm like, what? Okay, from what I remember, he pulled out a knife, and I didn't even want to talk to him. I didn't even want to bribe him. I just took him down. That's it. 16% of players peacefully. 44% of players tried to bribe him with a drink, and 23.9% of players done it violently. I didn't want to do it either way. I just had to take him down. Not violently, but he had to be stopped. That's for sure. You can't bribe somebody or negotiate somebody who brings out a weapon. If they bring out a weapon, they already made the decision up in their mind that they want to do harm. They want to strike. And one of the decisions here was, who did you follow in the convoy? You and 42.2% of players attempted to minimize casualties in convoy by following Harley, countering her chaos at every turn. So 42.2%, almost a 50-50, but not quite. I knew if I followed her, she is somebody who likes just to do chaos. She's more unpredictable than Bane. Bane is predictable because all he wants to do is destroy and kill. That's it. He doesn't have any weird fun. Harley likes to do that, but she likes to have fun with it, which means more chaos. She's more chaotic, which means she's more dangerous because she's unpredictable. So I was like, you know what? I need to follow Harley. For one, to get on John's side, to get on John Doe's good side, Joker's side, and to kind of impress her as well. That way she doesn't fully just murder these people and, have a fatal death. So every single person that we've seen, I punched them because I didn't want to go easy on them. I didn't want her to think I was weak. So if she was to think that, she would just handle it herself. I didn't want her to handle it herself. I would handle it by giving them a small punch, and they would be knocked out, but they wouldn't be like severely hurt. They wouldn't have their head bashed in, but Harley, like, she would have killed all of them, but no, I stepped in, just gave them a punch, gave them a black eye, but they lived long enough to see it another day. So I think I did them a favor, honestly. Did you pinky swear with John? You 95% of players accepted John's offer of pinky swear, becoming friends for life. How can I not? Look, John, okay, besides the pact, right, we did get to slowly but surely start to bond on a more friendship kind of level, and I was knowing more about John every single, every second I was in this guy. I was, slowly manipulating him. I was learning about him, and you know what? It was a key milestone, like, for me to, like, basically put my nail in the coffin by manipulating him by pinky swearing. That's like you know what to say. You never break a pinky swear, and according to someone like John, he knows that. So if somebody pinky swears to him, he takes it literally. So I was like, you know what? That's the only way I'm gonna get him on his good side, is by pinky swearing. So I had to. So, yeah, I broke in the end, but it's okay. And these are the main decision choices for episode 2. As you can see, adding relationships and choices on top of this definitely adds more character and more flavor to the game, as you can see, obviously. So we have a 49%, 71%, 15%, 42%, 95%. We have 15, 42, 49. We have 3 out of 5 minority decisions here. So it was a unique episode for sure. 95% though for the pinky swear. That's not unique at all. Almost everybody did that. I don't blame them. Alright, so we got episode 3, the fracture. As the pressure to uncover the impending attack on Gotham intensifies, gets his dual identity and his relationships with his new allies. So this is where Catwoman comes back from like a 3-episode vacay after me telling her that she was a thief. Things got kind of awkward at the end. So I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't really know, I don't really remember much that happened from this episode. I think I just kind of have to just review the choices again because I don't remember. I need a refresher, honestly. Just gonna be real with you for a second. So yeah, I'll see you on the choices. Alright, starting off for episode 3, we have Joker in the background. We have you, and 29.6% of players left John feeling valued by you. He took to heart your advice to manipulate others. He felt proud that he was able to help his hero by retrieving the laptop. He felt appreciated as a best friend when he decided to out Catwoman together. Oh, I remember this episode. This is where we threw Catwoman inside one of Riddler's trap devices and left her for dead, and basically blamed her for the disappearance of Harley's laptop. This is where Joker and I's friendship basically thickens, and my relationship with Catwoman ends. At this point, me and Catwoman are starting to not like each other anymore. After seeing her for a brief moment of time, you know, I kind of do her really bad. But also, let's just remember that she did kind of fight us in Edward's lab, or Edward's hideout, or whatever that was. Edward's base of operations. She did steal the laptop from us. So it wasn't completely false neither. She did steal it, but she stole it at a different time. I don't know. We still did it wrong though. I do regret doing that, but in the big scheme of things, putting the blame on her did help us. It helped us a lot and it helped me stay undercover for sure, because they would have never went to the black site if I didn't do that. They would not trust me. But I was there because of putting Catwoman like that. I felt awful, but I did try to make up in the end. Alright, for our next choice we have you, and 29.6% of players did something that will make Waller aligned with you. She felt miffed when you didn't accept her apology about the convoy. She felt superior when you pushed back against her desire to use the villains in the Black Site raid. She will be proud of you for keeping your cover, even when the stakes were high. Now, we made it clear we don't want to work with her, but you know, we have to stay undercover, and that was the whole point of episode 3 and episode 4. Was there was many chances and opportunities for us to back out, but we had to stay undercover in order to get the Pact, and we did get the Pact. But damn, did we sacrifice a lot. And she said that the agency would be there to help me, you know, at the convoy raid, but I did forget that we used an EMP device. I don't think I told her that. So that's the reason why she wasn't there. I think it's because it's my fault. I don't really exactly remember, but like I said, if I do another run through, I really don't want to work with them. Or maybe, I don't know, I'll figure it out. Alright, and here is one of the more bigger choices that I've made. You and 47.9% of players left Selena feeling betrayed. She was on edge after narrowly surviving an assault by the GCPD. She felt disappointed when you chose to not involve her in cracking Riddler's laptop. Because it gave her up to Harley, she feels betrayed. I did Catwoman horribly. I think she has the worst relationship than any other person in this whole entire franchise. I think I had better relations with Two-Face, honestly. Well, Harvey Dent, but you know what I mean. I had better relationships with him. I had better relationships with even Penguin, too. Catwoman and I were on horrible relations, and it was my fault. But honestly, she kept getting in my way. I'm gonna be honest with you. She kept trying to get herself involved somehow, and you know, her model is she just wants money, and I get it. You know, she's just trying to survive, but what she's doing is getting in my way, and she's slowing me down. And after her little sneaky incident of taking the laptop from the Riddler place and basically not wanting to work with me, even though I told her let's do it together, that was my last straw. She basically backstabbed me when I was giving myself up. I was being open, and she did that to me. I was like, you know what? Screw it. You know what? The GCPD want to go find her. I'm not gonna intervene. She's on her own now, because that's just how she feels. I'm gonna let her be a woman about it, and I'm gonna let her survive on her own, because that's what she wants to do. I can't constantly care for somebody if they're gonna do that to me. You know, you gotta understand what's the boundaries are. So she set the boundaries, loud and clear, and I was like, you know what? I have to do that. The one thing that was probably harsh on my part was the Riddler device. You know, when I basically forced her to be inside of, I could have revealed myself, but that would have blown my whole cover. Why would I blow my whole cover for somebody who's been trying to ruin my plan from the beginning? Now, she says she works with me, but there's many times where she's used me for her own gain. So, say what you want, anyone watching, but sometimes Catwoman isn't always the best. She's a vigilante, but it's never clear on who she's actually fighting for. Our next choice is you, and 87.6% of players left Tiffany feeling honored. She felt valued when you took the time to let her apologize, and she felt honored that you would let her in on your Batman secret. Now this is what I was talking about. She did, she called GCPD, and she didn't file an arrest on me, on Bruce Wayne. She did have me arrested, but I was going to let Gordon arrest me. I wasn't going to put up a fight, but the agency intervened. Everybody was there. Commissioner Gordon, Amanda Waller, and Tiffany were all in my office. It was kind of like a big surprise. I didn't even know what it was supposed to be about. Honestly, I was supposed to be there to tech from the Wayne Enterprises. I don't remember what I was there for because I got sidetracked. But what do you call it? So once the agency and the GCPD left the room, I had a minute to talk to Tiffany, and I told her who I really was. Again, for the millionth time. And I told her I was Batman and what her father did. I already explained all of this earlier, but she felt pleased by it, which is something I've been wanting for a long time. Alright, and you, and 29.6% of players left Harley feeling less skeptical. She felt amused when you wanted her not to threaten you. You're not that irreplaceable. She felt justified when you told her you agreed sometimes people needed to be dealt with. She felt less skeptical of you when you ratted out Catwoman as the mole. Now this is something I knew for a fact that would be the nail in the coffin. I know I use that phrase a lot, but it's true. This is the nail in the coffin right here. By me sacrificing somebody like that, leaving them to die, is for sure proof that not only do I have a dirty conscience, but it proves that it wasn't me. Because if it wasn't me, I would feel guilt. And I did not show any guilt or remorse. And I was coming off kind of like an asshole. I really was. It was all part of the plan. It was all part of the plan. It was just an act. It was a goof. It was a silly plan by me. And man, I wish Catwoman wasn't there. I really wish she wasn't. She was at the wrong place at the wrong time. But she did help me by getting under the noses, basically. You and 90.2% of players left Gordon feeling remorseful. He felt unified with Batman when he was nearly able to arrest Catwoman. He knew you hadn't tipped her off. He was relieved when he didn't resist arrest. Because of what you said after Waller fired him, he feels a little remorseful about trying to arrest you. Gordon, look, there's a reason. Commissioner Gordon is the perfect man for the job. Besides Harvey Dent, because like I said earlier, he's lawful good and he's lawful neutral when he has to be. He is somebody who does not take any kind of bribes or is not impartial. He always fulfills the law, and that's why I like him. Amanda Waller is willing to actually sacrifice people and actually hurt people, way more extreme than Batman, and that's why I don't like her. I don't like sacrificing. No, I don't want to sacrifice anybody. But if it comes down to it, I will. I do not want to sacrifice people. I will avoid that at all costs if I can. Commissioner Gordon, on the other hand, will never do it. He will never even consider it. And he was willing to arrest me, but I was saved by the agency. I was going to let him know, and I'm glad we're on good terms. I really am. Let's see, decision here. Did you warn Catwoman that the GCPD was coming after her? You and 38.6% of players did not warn her. she was ambushed by this GCPD, which prevented her from stealing a laptop. In a way, I'm kind of glad that I did not tell her, because it did help us on our little scheme. But you know, it did look bad. It did look bad between me and Selena. So I got the minority decision on this one. Let's see. What dating advice did you give John in the cafe to help him attract Harley's attention? If I remember correctly, it was called the Cafe Triste. Triste, I'm not French. I don't speak croissant, so I don't know. And I'm sorry if you're watching this. You and 35.5% of players told John to manipulate Harley, and he gave you an equal test. Now, as you can see from the picture, John Doe he's starting to transform now. He's starting to smile a lot. John never used to smile, and now he's starting to change. You notice this in that like late episode 3, and then episode 4, and obviously episode 5. But yeah, this is kind of like the early transformation of Joker. So minority decision here. I told him he can manipulate Harley. That will give me an advantage when I need it. It gives me some room, some leeway, just in case things go south. I have John Leon. And if I have to fight Harley, or I have to fight with Harley against Joker, or Joker versus Harley, I have some leeway. I have more than just one pawn in my pocket. You see what I mean? If I have multiple options within this undercover scheme, then I will feel more safe and more secure. Not knowing that, you know, oh, my plan could just be easily ruined by one person saying one word. You know, if I have multiple resources, I can do multiple things. Keeping my options open, basically. And I'm glad I did tell him that, because he did manipulate her, and it did help me in the end. Did you tell Tiffany that you're Batman? You and 82.4% of players told Tiffany your secret. Yes, I told you guys I wanted to be 100% with her, and she needed to know that. Did you out yourself as the mole, or put the blame on Catwoman? You and 17.4% of players let John throw Catwoman under the bus. She is now in mortal danger. This was one of the most hardest decisions I have ever done in this game, but I knew if I did this, it would lead to success, and damn, it did. It really did. But I hurt a good friend. I would say frenemy. Her and I, yeah, we're frenemies. We're friends, but we also are enemies. We fight a lot, but we're friends. We're frenemies. This was a hard decision. Most people didn't do that. I'm curious to see how that would have played out. I don't know what would happen. I have no idea. But I mean, I will never know because I didn't do it. And basically, summary of the choices: we have 38% about the GCPD ambush, 35% about the manipulate Harley thing, 82% about the Batman secret, and 17% about Catwoman under the bus. We chose 3 out of 4 minority decisions, so this was a minority rule decision for this episode 3, and only 1 majority with the Batman secret. Alright, so go to episode 4. Alright, so we got episode 4, What Ails You? A shocking revelation forces Bruce into a desperate change of plans as the villain's lethal plot escalates. Now, I believe episode 4 is basically us at the black site. I believe that's the entirety of this episode. I believe. I don't remember. I know I played it recently, but like, you know, thinking back and doing all these audio dubs about all the episodes and choices, things do get a little fuzzy. So when I look back on this footage, I'll see, oh yeah, look at the timeline. You guys watching, you guys will be able to see the timeline clearly, but for me, I'm like recording all over the place, so I kind of forgot. Anyways, that's not for you guys to be concerned about. Anyways, so in this episode, it basically makes me hark back to myself and choose what's more important. What's really more important, friendship or glory? That's basically the question that was brought up to me in this one. Basically between me and John or Joker, and that was definitely a key component, a key factor in what would later be episode 5. So let's go ahead and check the choices for episode 4. Alright, so for our choices for episode 4, we got you and 75.1% of players left Alfred feeling proud, and yet again he approves of our craziness. He approves of what we're trying to do. Alfred was grateful when you helped him up off the floor. You made him cheerful with the mention of vacation. Alfred was proud when you advised him thoughtfully about Batman's code. Now, you gotta realize something. Alfred has been with me for like 9 episodes at this point. and will be 10, and he's been through a lot. He's seen a lot of things. I costed him an eye, and he nearly fainted, and Alfred's been through a lot. He has trauma, and he has been around, like, when there was an attack by Two-Face on Wayne Manor. He's seen a lot, and it's my fault. He's been kidnapped. See what I mean? Like, Alfred has been through hell, and I try my best. And I told him, look, you may need a vacation or something, and Alfred needs to have that. You know, I owe him everything, and I'm glad he stuck around for as long as he did. So I'm keeping up a good relationship with Alfred at this point. And at the end of episode 4, we got an ending we were not expecting. You and 35.7% of players set John down the path of being a villain. I honestly didn't expect this ending. I did not. I knew he would turn, but I did not think it was going to happen this way. So let's just go ahead and read what it says. John was despondent when he told him Harley betrayed both of you. He resented you for trying to tell him how to handle the situation with Harley. You have broken John's trust, and he has sworn to become a mortal enemy. Now, I remember it was in the fun house, and then, you know, he told me about what happened and how the agency was there, and he ended up killing 3 of them in self-defense. And, you know, I had a decision. What should I do? He wanted to ride or die with me. He wanted to be like my sidekick, and I told him that I forgive him. I know it's not your fault, but you have to turn yourself in. And he kind of snapped at that. And I think that was the last time I ever heard from John Doe. And after that, he was just been Joker at this point. So, yeah, it was true, though. There was no way I could let somebody kill 3 people and let it get away. That was against my code, regardless of how good of a friends we are. So, we went from this good old friendship of being best buds from all the way from episode 4 of the Telltale series all the way to episode 4 of The Enemy within 5 episodes. And he's became a dark villain because of me. It's my fault. I'm sorry, but honestly, it did make things interesting. I can't lie. You and 45.2% of players left Tiffany feeling apologetic. Tiffany felt solemn after learning about Batman's code. You left Tiffany feeling apologetic for questioning Batman's code. It's okay. She wanted to know why I didn't want to use guns. It's fine. It's not like a big deal, and I'm glad she respects it in a way. You and 71.5% of players left Waller livid. She was combative when you made excuses about how poorly things went with the Pact. You irritated Waller when you said she shouldn't use the Sanctus tech. Waller was livid when he suggested giving Harley what she wanted on the bridge. Now, I don't know what they wanted with the Sanctus. Remind you, Sanctus was like a former branch of the agency, and for some reason she wanted their tech. Why? Remind you, they're used to experiment on people, similar to how Thomas Wayne had experiments on people. Arkham sound very similar, actually. And I don't know what she wanted to do with it, and I told her that it's not a good idea to use it. And this is when the true light started to shine on the agency. They were revealed out of the darkness, and we started to see who they actually were a corrupt agency. And I knew that from the very trust of them, and I definitely didn't after. And I don't know why she was mad, because I told her we have to give her what she wants, because Harley literally says if you don't give us what we want, we're gonna kill people on the bridge, and I could not let innocent people die. So I told Waller to do that. And I mean, in theory, it's a good idea, but Harley blew up the bridge anyway. At least I tried, though. You and 57.3% of players left Avessa feeling gratified. She was apologetic when you expressed your frustration at her revealing your secret. Waller, I did not know that's how Amanda Waller knew who I was. I didn't know. I think it was because, like, in the Enigma, I think she was talking to Batman and she's talking to Bruce, and she put 2 and 2 together or something. I don't know. She did her own private research. Basically, it's her fault that Waller knows who I am, basically. But I was like, you know what? That's, like, besides the point right now, because we have more important things to focus about. She was frustrated by your declaration about brutality and how it relates to Batman's code. Flustered is an interesting way to put it. I have no comments on that. She was gratified by your concern when you cautioned her about destroying Riddler's blood. Now, I told her it wasn't a good idea, but she did it anyway. Things worse. But it did save lives. It just made things quite chaotic. Did you lower the temperature for Mr. Freeze? You 5.3% of players turned your back on Mr. Freeze, leaving him to suffer. Now, remind you, Mr. Freeze is a criminal. He has murdered people. He is not a good person. However, there is a sense to his madness. He's doing this for his wife Nora. He's on this solo crusade, trying to find the cure for his wife, but he's killing people in the process. Obviously, he needs to be locked up because he's doing way too much bad than good. And at the end, he knew he was captured by the agency. He had one final request for me to turn down, to lower the temperature, because if the temperature was lowered, he could freeze himself and, preventing the agency to test on him. And at the time, I wasn't sure, because I was like, he's Mr. Freeze. He could just freeze himself and escape, right? I wasn't exactly sure what he could do. I didn't really trust him, but I regret doing this. This is one of those decisions I look back at it now. I was like, you know what? Maybe I should have listened to him, because the agency wasn't any better. Everybody's bad. The agency is bad. The Pact was bad. Everybody was bad in this game. There was a lot of criminals. The only good group was probably GCPD. That was probably the only one. Literally it. Commissioner Gordon, that's why I was advocating for him the most. I didn't trust the agency, and I damn well didn't trust the Pact. But I did feel remorse about doing this, and I wish I had never done this decision. Did you trust John to find Harley by himself? You and 13.1% of players didn't trust John to find Harley by himself. I didn't know, okay, I know it was bad timing. He wanted to find Harley, but you gotta remember something. My cover was blown, and now everybody knows who I really am. I was working with the agency, and my cover was blown. It was done. I couldn't be secretive anymore, and he wanted to go find Harley, and I wanted to follow him to make sure that they weren't going to do any plans. But he pulled out a gun on me, and I couldn't follow him, so that kind of ticked him off. That was something he didn't like. I mean, from a friend standpoint, I should have just let him go, but remember, I was on the mission from the very beginning. I was playing him. Yeah, it did hurt, though. I ain't gonna lie. It did hurt. And this is a summary of all the main decisions. Not a lot of crazy things happened, because the agency was gonna win anyway, but, this is what happened for episode 4, so let's go ahead and check out episode 5.